Call this regular meeting to order. Call roll.
Mayor Querom.
Here.
Councilmember Swanson.
Here.
Mabry.
Here.
Fabia.
Here.
Newman.
Here. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing we have tonight, we bring up Scott. You can come on up. We have the swearing in of our new sergeant in the Princeton Police Department. Adam?
Turn it on there,
Well, good evening, Mayor, Querom, and council members. Tonight I come before you to announce the promotion of Officer Adam Gushaw to the position of Patrol Sergeant. Adam Gushaw was born in Princeton in 1983. He graduated from Bureau Valley High School in 2002. He attended Sauk Valley Community College from 2002 to 2004, where he received his associate's degree. He then attended Illinois State University from 2004 to 2006, where he received his bachelor's degree. He graduated from the University of Illinois Police Training Institute in 2008. Officer Gushaw came aboard the Princeton Police Department in November 2007 as a patrol officer. In 2012, he took over the position of the range officer for the police department. And since then, he has implemented scenario-based tactical training into the firearms training program, which has increased the overall quality of the firearms training program. He is currently the assistant team leader for the Illinois Valley Special Response Team as well. 2013, Officer Gushaw was presented of the Officer of the Year Award for the Princeton Police Department. Mayor Querom, council members, it is my privilege to present you to Sergeant Adam Gushaw, Princeton Police Department. We generally do something as far as we have the wife come up and present the chevrons on his shoulders, or his collars. But since Officer Gushaw is on duty tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. We ask that his kids come forward tonight and present them with the chevrons. Good job.
Now, anybody here for that can be excused if you'd like. Exit right. We want to get a picture, Adam.
You're a little quick there. We reenact that.
All right.
Well, he doesn't want to at all, does he?
Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, do we have any public comment tonight? So we'll go to the approval of minutes. Go to Council Member Newman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from our regular council meeting on Monday, January 15, 2018.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any corrections? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querom.
Aye. We'll go to the approval of invoices to City Clerk Nelson.
For this period, the Department of Accounts and Finances, we have invoices totaling $93,900.17. In the Department of Streets and Public Improvements, we have invoices totaling $162,848.86. In the Department of Public Safety, we have invoices totaling $199,566.39. And in the Department of Public Property and Utilities, we have invoices totaling $321,424.94. Mayor, all council members present have confirmed their reviews of all invoices and now are submitted for disposition.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the invoices as presented.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any comments or corrections? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
All right, we're going to go to our regular business, and we're going to make a little alteration here. We're going to bring item number 17, and we're going to bring it up to first up because Melissa Sims is here, and I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's just announce it, and then we'll do it in a second.
So next item on the agenda is Resolution R-18-012, authorizing a contingency engagement agreement with Sanders Phillips Grossman LLC and Melissa K. Sims Esquire to be approved.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution R-18-012, making this authorization.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Rachel?
So I'm actually going to turn it over to Melissa Sims. She is here with us today. She's actually from the local area, but she's with a law firm that's doing some work nationwide, and she'll talk about that a little bit.
Rachel, thank you.
Probably need to slide this right on top. There's a little button you just slide toward you. There we go.
Can you hear me now? Is that it? Okay. Thank you all for letting me appear here tonight. It's a privilege to be able to talk to you tonight about this horrible crisis that's going on in our communities. As most of you know, everybody calls me Missy, nobody calls me Melissa. Born right here in Princeton at Perry Memorial Hospital, and practiced law here for over 20 years with the Wimbiscus Law Firm. Born and raised right here in Tuscaloosa, and did all my grocery shopping and everything like that here in Princeton, so I consider myself a Princeton girl. My house right here on the outside of town is in Timber Ridge, and I travel all over the country now doing mass tort litigation, and the firm I'm working with now is Sanders Phillips Grossman out of New York, and they also have offices in Puerto Rico and Seattle, Los Angeles. I am partnering with Sanders Phillips Grossman on the opioid crisis because I started watching this litigation over a year ago, and I could not believe what happened to this public health crisis and how it got started. So when I saw there was about over a year ago, there was only 3 lawsuits that have been filed, and those were filed on behalf of Motley Rice. I worked with them co-counsel on other litigation, and Linda Singer filed those lawsuits. She was the former Attorney General for Washington, D.C., and she filed on behalf of 2 counties in California and the city of Chicago. And she did it for public nuisance for the opioid crisis. And I thought, well, I'm going to dig into this a little bit deeper because that's what I do. I do public nuisance litigation on behalf of municipalities. As some of you may know, I represented the village of Depew in the big case against Exxon, CBS, and Viacom. We set national precedent in the right of a municipality to use its local ordinances and go after public nuisance. So when I saw this opioid litigation, I thought, I want to know what's going on there. And you won't believe it when I tell you what these companies did. If you happen to see the 60 Minutes whistleblower a few months back in October, Joe Ranasisi, the DEA agent who was head of diversion control. Well, when I started looking into this crisis more than a year ago, one name kept popping up, and that was Joe Ranasisi. And he was the former head of diversion control for the DEA. So I hunted him down. He was no longer at the DEA, and I said, I need to know what happened from inside. I need to know how this crisis got so bad. And he told me long before he was on 60 Minutes exactly what happened. And I'm going to tell you guys here a little bit tonight how this got so out of hand. So for a controlled substance to be prescribed, that has to go through internal controls with the DEA, and they're called 1301.74B. And everyone that has a license has to have a bird's eye view of where every pill is going. Unfortunately, what was happening is doctors didn't have access to that database, and if they did have access to that database was more than 6 months old, so it wasn't in real time. But who did have access to that database and knew where every pill was going were the manufacturers and the distributors of opioids. And what they did is not only And what they did is, not only were they involved in fraud marketing, so what the companies did is they lied to the FDA and they told them that their products were not addictive. They said there was a 1% risk of addiction. And I think all of us here tonight know somebody who's been affected by this crisis. So what they did is they told people, no, it's, first of all, it's not addictive. They stood behind front groups and they had doctors who were paid by them, but undisclosed, paid by them, say that their products were not addictive. So it got everybody prescribing these for chronic pain, and they said it was compassionate care for people with chronic pain. Opioids typically were only prescribed for people who had acute injury or end of life. It was not meant to be for someone who was a habitual user. And in fact, 1301.74B of the Controlled Substances Act says that a prescription for habitual user is not a valid prescription. But they were ignoring these, okay? So the manufacturers and the distributors had this bird's eye view of where every pill was going. Under their rules, to have that license, they were supposed to identify and red flag and stop those shipments that were suspicious, that were for habitual users, that in an area such as this, millions of prescriptions were going out. They were supposed to stop that. It was never supposed to get out of hand. They didn't do that. In fact, not only did they not stop those shipments and red flag, they actually sent more sales agents out to get them to sell more. So that's not what they were supposed to do. So Joe Ranasisi, the head of the DEA diversion, he said, I'm going to go around and I'm going to find these corporations that were doing it. And he lost his job because of it, because the politics got in the way, and that's why he was on the CBS as a whistleblower. He is helping us out in this litigation. So the status of the litigation is this. The 3 cases that more than a year and a half ago, there are now over 500 cases. So municipalities such as yours, counties, cities, states throughout the country, I represent a class action going on in Puerto Rico right now, and we have all band together, and we're being heard. Because that's what needed to happen. 3 cases were not going to make a difference, but 500 cases are going to make a difference. So there is right now an MDL, a multi-district litigation that has been paneled in Cleveland, Ohio. One judge is listening to all the federal cases. And he said at the first hearing in January, he said that this litigation is not going to last 10 years because 155 people die every day from opioid overdoses. So he has brought both sides to the table and says, settle this. I want to settle this now. It's not going to be settled for pittance. It's going to be settled for hundreds of billions of dollars. That's what it's going to take to break the back of this litigation, or break the back of this public health crisis. The reason I want to represent the city of Princeton is not only because I'm from here and I want to see local dollars come right back here if we do settle this litigation, but also because you have a public hospital. And that's really what's going to stop this public health crisis from continuing, is because we have to educate people. We have to educate people in that pills right now are as lethal as a gun. We need little children to know mom and dad's medicine cabinet is not to be toyed with. We also need people to understand that our loved ones may be addicted and we don't even realize that they may be addicted. I have a friend of mine whose dad is the winningest high school coach in Michigan high school girls basketball history. He's in prison right now for armed robbery of a Walgreens because he couldn't get his fentanyl. He's in prison. He's 67 years old. People that we all know are addicted to prescription pain pills. How many celebrities have we lost in the last few years because of addiction to prescription pain pills? And I'm not here to cast any aspersions on the doctors or the hospitals, because the databases that were set up have great intention. They're just not in real time. So they have no idea what others are prescribing right now. We have to, as a community, understand that when we have a brother, a sister, a son, a nephew, a cousin who is taking pain pills, that we have to understand that that is an addiction and that we need to get them to help. So what I want to try to do is to make sure that that money, if we are to settle this litigation, some of it will come back here and will help out our community. One of the things I'm learning, we're representing hospitals, unions, cities, states, counties. One thing I'm learning as I'm talking to hospitals in particular, and I know we don't have a birthing center anymore at Prairie Moore Hospital, but one of the things that I shared with Rachel was a story from a nurse in New York in a pediatric division, and she said that a child going through withdrawals from opioids is unbelievable. I mean, an adult going through it, it's horrifying, but for a child, a newborn that is going through withdrawals, it's so bad that the mother can't even hold the child while it's going through withdrawals, because the child could see the mother, could trigger something in the brain, and they could actually die from that. So they have volunteers that come out and hold these babies during this withdrawal. And those volunteers said that the wail that they hear from these babies is something they'll never forget, and they have to actually go to PTSD counseling. And what is amazing to me is that this is their start in life. Unfortunately, this is so we're going to have to deal with that addiction for generations to come. So I thank you for hearing me out here tonight, and I want you to know that you will have a strenuous advocate on behalf of the City of Princeton in this multi-district litigation, and that one of the things we're going to be doing is looking for actual costs that you've had to expend for both your employees, because I understand you spend for actual out-of-pocket expenses for your employees for opioids. So we're going to be asking for all that money back. We're going to be asking for costs in the future. We're going to be asking for nuisance for having your police officers have to be trained to be EMTs, basically, nowadays with Narcan. That wasn't the case when I worked at the Sheriff's Department in 1990. Police officers didn't have to do that extra work. So those police officers, the amount of time and money that they've had to be trained to do that, the overtime, we're going to be asking for all the expenses that you've had to incur, and in the future, because those costs should not be borne by taxpayers. Those costs should be borne by the companies that shirked their laws. One little story I want to finish up about Joe Rancisi is that when he went after Masters Pharmaceutical to take away their license for unlawful diversion, and what unlawful diversion means is when they pump these pills into these communities, and there's so many pills that the person could not take it, so they're selling it. Okay, so these companies should have known that they were going to the black market. These companies should know that you have all this Xanax out on the street you should not be able to get. So he started going after Masters Pharmaceutical for that. He took them to court, and the judge stripped away their ability to sell those prescriptions. That same day, a bill was introduced into Congress, and it was passed eventually unanimously to take away the DEA's right to do that. So there are high, powerful lobbyists in Washington that are really advocating or have been advocating for the pharmacy. So it's going to take a lot of us together to combat that political pressure that we're going to have from the other side. But we have a judge that's listening to us, that understands the crisis, and we're hoping to get some local money for the City of Princeton.
Thank you, Missy. Is this growing? Do you still bring on more plaintiffs, or is this?
Absolutely. We're going to bring on as many plaintiffs as it takes to compensate as many possible victims in this crisis. We also represent individuals, but we're representing hospitals. We're representing mostly public hospitals, but we're trying to represent as many of the victims in this crisis as we can to get that money back.
Is Bureau County?
Bureau County is a part of the litigation. They're not part of the federal MDL. I think they're part of the, I don't represent Bureau County, but they're part of the state coordinated effort.
And would you set the monies aside for education, prevention, treatment?
Well, if the City of Princeton gets any money, that will be up to you fine people to decide how that money, but that's what we're going to ask for. We're going to ask for not only compensation for past costs, cost recovery, but also for those future costs. But, those funds will be unrestricted. So a municipality can use those however they see fit, but we will be asking for future costs.
Anything else?
I'll just mention, Melissa has had conversations with the hospital as well, and they'll sign a similar agreement when they proceed.
I
too.
believe so.
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
Because it does mention in here that parent memorial is included.
Right.
And that's a concern because they have their own board if they
Yes.
don't want to be included. So we probably perhaps want to wait to sign off until they're ready to do it as
Okay,
well.
sure, absolutely.
Then we could do it maybe all in one agreement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could just add a line for Perry and this agreement, we could just sign the same one, if that's okay
Okay,
with
that'd be
you.
great. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate that. I'll send that to you.
Thank you, Missy. And you can leave.
Great. I have to go to O'Hare, so, tonight. Thank you.
All right, the motion has been seconded. Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson,
Aye.
Mabry,
Aye.
Fabia,
Aye.
Newman,
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. And now we're going to float back up to item number 7, and take it away.
Okay, next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-002. This is a 2017 tax levy abatement for Series 2007 bonds in the amount of $2 million. This has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I make a motion that we approve resolution R-18-002.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. I'm going to turn it over to Rachel so she can explain why we were doing all these resolutions.
So every year, you probably are always reminded that we do all these resolutions abating the tax levy, and this is because these are all the bonds that the city has that it does not use property tax revenue from to pay for them, so they're all alternative revenue sources. Some are paid for with TIP funds, MFT, water, wastewater, electric. It says which funds are used next to each of those. So each year we have to do this prior to the final tax levy so that these bonds don't go in the property tax levy.
Any comments? Motion has been seconded. Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-003. This is 2017 tax levy abatement for Series 2009 bonds in the amount of $842,000. Mayor, this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve resolution R-18-003.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-004. This is 2017 tax levy abatement. I suppose I don't have to say that every time. For Series 2013-A bonds in the amount of $900,000. Mayor, this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve resolution R-18-004.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-005. This is for Series 2013-B bonds in the amount of $2.55 million. This has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve resolution R-18-005.
Second.
Motion been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-006. This is for Series 2013-C bonds in the amount of $3,475,000. Mayor, this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve resolution R-18-006.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-007. This is Series 2013-D bonds for a debt totaling $2.66 million. Mayor, this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-007.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-008. This is for Series 2014-A bonds in the amount of $680,000. This has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-008.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-009. This is for Series 2014-B bonds for debt totaling $2,185,000. This has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-009.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-010. This is for Series 2014-D bonds for debt of $1,170,000. Mayor, this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-010.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-011. This is Series 2014-E bonds for the debt of $515,000. This has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-011.
Second.
Motion's been second. Comments? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-013. Cash payments related to health insurance as IMRF earnings. This is I'll just mention this, I guess we should say that this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-013.
Second.
Motion's been second. Pete?
Okay, this is a resolution that is required by IMRF, whereby we do have a few employees who receive cash payments instead of taking the insurance, and that cash that they receive to offset, this resolution is required to count that as IMRF earnings. So it won't happen unless we pass this resolution.
This is current employees who choose not to take our insurance? Okay.
We don't give a stipend anymore, but there were people that were grandfathered into that. There's about 3 of them that still get a stipend.
So we do this every year? Is this something that just,
This is new, just once.
is this a housekeeping thing that should have been done before?
No, IMRF just came out with this, said you need to pass this if you're doing this.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Any further comment? Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is Resolution R-18-014. This is an expression of interest by Terra Navigator to investigate clean energy options with the city of Princeton. This resolution has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
I move that we approve Resolution R-18-014.
Second.
Motion has been second. I'm going to turn it over to Rachel.
Thank you. So this is an expression of interest with a company called Terra Navigator. They do a lot of solar and community wind projects, and they do a lot of it on like brownfield spaces. So they are looking at the old landfill site This would just allow them to complete their study and look at the interconnect study to see if it's even feasible to do something out on that site. It would be a community solar project that would be out there, and then there'd be a lease agreement with the city, and they would lease that land from us to do that project. They would likely interconnect with Ameren if the numbers all work out, but we won't know more about that, or we will know more about that once they do this study. So this expression of interest basically allows their investors to give them the okay to start investing the money to do that study and see if it's feasible.
How would that affect the current police officer range out there for firing weapons?
So they'll take all that into consideration, but they should meet that section of it.
Very good, thank you.
Your time frame.
Well, this will be for the next 90 days to do that, and then we'll have to work on the lease agreement and obviously making sure that we have all the requirements that we want in that agreement and are comfortable with the amount, and then if they proceed to go forward after that, I'm sure they'll put together a time frame.
Do we have to invest any money in preparing this property for them?
No, they would take care of all of that.
Any further comment? A motion has been second. Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is ordinance O-18-001. This is amending the city code, chapter 9, adding new article 7, addressing truancy. Mayor, this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted for disposition.
Is this a first two readings, or is this?
You know what? This is the first 2 readings.
All right, sir. Well, then I am going to move that we take ordinance O-18-001 and advance it to a second reading.
Second.
Motion has been second. And Rachel?
So currently our city code doesn't have anything that outlines truancy in it. There's a lot of surrounding communities that do have that. The school has a committee, and Maura is on that committee as well as the school resource officer, Sarah, and they kind of have met to develop, and then they worked with me to develop this. We are still confirming just some information on proprietary and confidential information on how we would, if there was a fine given to a minor. So we'll make sure we have that worked out before the second reading. But this would be a new addition to the city code.
Further comment?
I just would like to add, we're not going to be driving around picking up kids that are walking down the streets. It's nothing like that. It is the school and the regional education office. They can only go so far. They have conferences, they send home letters. This is the second step when the school will notify us where there is a problem. And that is when we will step in, because we know how important education is, getting your kids in school, financial impact on the districts. So, we're not looking. The school is going to tell us when there is a problem.
Further comment?
So this is an enforcement mechanism.
This is putting the little teeth to the bite, yes.
And of course, I'm sure the existing one, it protects like vacations, sporting events, whether someone's going to state.
Well, this is, again, it's going back to the school, how the school defines it, and if they're on vacation, that may not be as an unexcused. I believe it's 5% of 177 days with unexcused. So you're looking at about 8-9 days that are unexcused before, I think the 10th one kicks in the truancy. But again, that's the school's decision, and then they will give us the nod. Vacations, no out-of-state tournaments, stuff like that, no.
Further comment? Motion has been second. Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is first reading of ordinance O-18-002. This is amending city code, chapter 3, adding a new article 17, establishing a public arts commission. Mayor, this has been reviewed by all council members and is submitted to this commission.
I make a motion that we take ordinance O-18-002 and advance it to a second reading.
Second.
Motion has been second. I'll turn it over to Rachel.
Sure, so I'll just comment on this ordinance quickly. After we finished the Main Street revitalization workshops. There were 3 groups that came out of that: the Historic Preservation Commission, which has been up and going for some time, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission, which has also been going, and then this was the 3rd one. There's a list of those that are interested, and we'll be making contacts with them before the next reading, so we can get them appointed to this commission. That's all I have.
This too is a first reading.
Yeah.
Right.
Any further comment? Motion has been second. Call roll.
Councilmember Swanson,
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia,
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Querem.
Aye. Thank you, Pete and Jerry. We'll go to the city manager report.
Well, the only thing I have is the building permit report, but I'm going to let Pete talk about that. Oh, did I?
Yeah, I forgot to pull it out, so I don't have it in front of me.
What about,
Here we go. So this is the whole tally for all of 2017. You'll notice that we had only 1 single-family residence built in 2017. We had a total of 74 permits, totaling $4,177,177 for 2017, as compared to 2016, which was 90 permits valued at roughly $2 million, and 2 years ago with 102 permits valued at $12 million. Had a special project back then apparently. So that's how it stacks up right now.
Anything else, Rachel? Yeah, I got a couple things under mayor's report. First of all, public notice. I'll go ahead and read. City Hall will be closed on Monday, February 19th, 2018, in observance of the President's Day holiday. The Monday, February 19th, garbage and recycling collection routes will be picked up on Tuesday, February 20th. Please have garbage and recycling out at curbside by 5 a.m. on collection day. Questions can be directed to City Hall 875-2631, press option 2. There was a letter in Saturday's Bureau County Republican from Warren Taylor Jr., which I thought was kind of interesting. He was suggesting that Bruce Street be renamed Lovejoy Road or Lovejoy Boulevard, or something to tie in with Owen Lovejoy. And on the surface, it sounds like a really good idea, and I think, will probably give us some consideration, although it could prove to be cost prohibitive. There's a lot of businesses on Peru Street. There'd have to be a lot of signage changes, letterhead changes, and so on. But I want to commend Mr. Taylor for a great idea. I mean, that's what we look for on the city council level, is citizens coming out and giving us some good ideas to look at, and we will give this some consideration and see where it goes. And the last thing that I have, we have some good news about Amtrak, and I'm going to turn this over to Pete because Pete is at the Amtrak station regularly and has been very involved with Amtrak.
Okay. Okay, so Amtrak, we did a little research on this. We found out that Amtrak routinely sends satisfaction surveys to all its ridership once their trip is completed. And so, although this isn't totally scientific, the data has come back that nationally, Princeton's depot ranks number 4 in a satisfactory customer service experience. So we know that this is really attributable to Chris Fuse, that's Chris with a C, Fuse, F-U-E-S. Chris works our weekend shifts. She does all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and she does all the evenings through the week. So she works 7 days a week for us on a part-time basis. Chris has her own little ridership following and fan club. She does a tremendous job making passengers feel safe and cared for. And during the day, on weekdays, we have Jerry Weiss, W-E-I-S-S. Jerry continues that tradition by making sure that passengers are safely on the right track, because every hour or so the train can be on one side or the other, and it's, ridership safety is our utmost concern. And with all the construction going on at the depot this last year for the ADA upgrades, it's been particularly confusing for passengers. And these people that we have there, Chris and Jerry, and then intermittently we have a pinch hitter, Bryant Corey, C-O-R-R-I-E, Bryant Corey. They all work together to make sure that the riders have a safe place to embark from or be received back to. People we get a lot of comments that Princeton is great. They feel safe leaving their car here for free and without any vandalism and any concern there. And then they like the station because it looks like it's still in 1912 when it was built, or 1911. So we have a 95% rating, again attributable to those workers, and we appreciate what they do, and hopefully we'll continue to see those numbers climb up, and we can beat Norfolk, Virginia, Kirkwood, Missouri, and Cary, North Carolina next time.
And one more quick thing, Pete forgot to mention himself. He fills in often out there when there's shifts that need to be covered, so we really appreciate that.
Okay, well, thank you, and that's all I have. So do we have any old business?
Any word on you?
So the final report's been submitted, so it's 30 to 60 days hopefully after that.
Any other old business? Any new business? Okay, any public comment?
Can I just ask a question on this, the resolution R18014 about what the Terra Navigator, is that like a wind tower company or is that like a
solar?
Well, I see solar, but I guess.
Photovoltaic panels.
Flat
panels.
And what are they looking to get off that land? I'm just curious. I didn't know if it's nothing coming up or what.
The
but,
panels will generate electricity.
And it's coming off the decomposing garbage?
No, they'll just use the land to erect the panels.
Okay, I mean, they're just looking for a source, a place to put it, and they're picking over old landfills.
Right.
Okay, I didn't know if there's any energy that was coming off from the garbage or what,
Yeah, it's all sun.
No, I mean, I just was curious.
Yeah,
I mean, not that I know anything about it, just curious. But
anything else? Any other public comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting and go to our next.
I can do that. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this regular meeting and reconvene on Tuesday, February 20th, 2018, 7 o'clock here at City Hall.
Second.
Motion to the second, call roll.
Councilmember Swanson.
Aye.
Mabry.
Aye.
Fabia.
Aye.
Newman.
Aye.
Mayor Quero.
Aye, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.